a true expert when it comes to election law and all that goes on behind the scenes in the DOJ. J. Christian Adams is an election lawyer who served in the voting rights section at the U.S. Department of Justice. His book, Injustice, Exposing the Racial Agenda of the Obama Justice Department, is a must-read for anyone who is interested in the hard facts of the DOJ. He's here to set the record straight with an awful lot of facts that are indisputable. Ladies and gentlemen, Christian Adams.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Isn't it great to actually see the Constitution in action? I mean, you normally don't see things like this, but the founders were brilliant. They put into the First Amendment something that I love to talk about because most people talk about free speech, but the First Amendment also has the right to petition your government for redress of grievance, and it's a spectacular idea. I'm the one who's speaking, but you guys are the ones petitioning, and we both have the right to be here, and we should be very thankful of that. To that also, though, we owe some thanks to Catherine Engelbrecht at True the Vote, because Holder only announced he was coming here last week. And, the Minutemen had to go like this, like on a minute's notice, but, these days we need at least a week to get the speakers here and the permits pulled. So everybody here deserves a round of applause, frankly, for showing up. After today, I'll bet you that somebody's going to ask the question, why this Attorney General? Why are you here about this particular Attorney General? And you all know the sort of veiled allusions that have grown so tiresome whenever questions like that are asked. But I have some answers why we're here for this Attorney General. This Attorney General is going to be speaking here in about an hour and a half. And he is going to announce a broad Justice Department campaign against voter identification laws. He is going to announce the Justice Department taking an aggressive approach using their Section 5 authority, which all laws have to be submitted to Washington for approval in 16 states involving elections under the Voting Rights Act. He's going to announce an aggressive campaign to scrutinize voter integrity efforts, like voter ID, and attempt to stop them ahead of the 2012 election. He's also going to announce an aggressive campaign for welfare agency voter registration under what's called Section 7 of the Motor Voter Law. They've already sued Louisiana and Rhode Island, and you can look for them to sue other states in the next few months. So why this Attorney General? Because this Attorney General has been disrespecting the constitutional balance when it comes to governance of your own elections. Why else are we here for this Attorney General? Well, this Attorney General told the Washington Post this morning that he, quote, doesn't see a huge amount of voter fraud, unquote. Now that says something beside how absurd it is on its face. It says that we have a chief law enforcement officer who's announcing his lack of priorities. And that should give everybody pause. So why this Attorney General? Because he doesn't take it seriously. Why else this Attorney General? Because he believes in enforcing some laws and not others. He believes in suing states to force them to have voter registration in welfare offices and drug treatment facilities, but is doing nothing about states that have more living people on the voter rolls than they have people alive. He's doing nothing about states like Alaska that have over 100% of people alive registered to vote, because he doesn't like to enforce that part of the law. I know when I was at the Justice Department, you can read about this in my book, Injustice. They announced they weren't going to enforce this part of the law because they didn't think it had anything to do with, quote, increasing minority turnout. So why else this Attorney General? And I should know this better than most. This is the Attorney General who doesn't take the new Black Panthers very seriously. Yes. This is the Attorney General who doesn't do something about people with billy clubs in front of polls shouting racial slurs at people. So why this Attorney General? Because he doesn't enforce the law all the time. Why this Attorney General? Because he's giving Texas a big fight over redistricting. Because he's giving Texas a fight over voter identification. And why your Secretary of State, Hope Andrade, submitted that law to justice instead of going to court is continually a riddle. They should withdraw that law immediately and submit it to court to get voter ID approved, because he's announcing war on Texas tonight. Let's hope that Texas officials wake up and realize it. Let me close with 2 points. Why else this Attorney General? This Attorney General objected to a law in North Carolina that made elections nonpartisan in the town of Kinston, North Carolina. And if you read the objection letter, it says if you remove the party Democrat D on the ballot, if you take away the D on the ballot, literally the letter says African Americans won't know for whom to vote. And so he blocked this law in North Carolina. So we're here because of what this Attorney General does, not who he is. And let me close lastly. Pajamas Media, where I write, has some breaking news today that's worth mentioning. It doesn't involve elections. But they've posted a letter from an ATF agent who's stationed in Mexico who doesn't give his name, but we have the information, if you get my point. He's a whistleblower from behind the curtain. And here's what he writes to Attorney General Holder. It's very brief, and I'll close on this. Mr. Holder, with your performance in front of the committee and your obstruction of justice and obfuscation of the issues, you were completely transparent. Watching you in front of the committee for the first time in my life, you made me ashamed to be an American. Watergate was easier to understand, and people didn't die. How many people are going to be killed as a consequence of Fast and Furious? How do I explain to my Mexican friends and associates why ATF has illegally armed Mexican criminal gangs and no one has gone to jail, been fired, suspended, or even identified? Mr. Attorney General, you will be held accountable by the American people. Thank you all very much.